I think we are live. It's always hard to tell when we're live on Restream because there's this huge delay. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 20. We'll say webisode. Episode 20 of the Freedom Bros podcast. I am your host, Greg Pruitt, and tonight I am riding solo because Dustin is off playing in Washington, D.C. in the swamp. Maybe he was part of that secret cabal that helped get Kevin McCarthy ousted. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics tonight. Number one, we are going to be talking about the fight over the speakership and whether it's good or bad and what it really means for Americans. So we're going to be talking about that. We are going to be talking about the second presidential GOP debate, which I barely made it through. Like I couldn't take it. It was bad. And then we're also going to be talking about guns a little bit. So with that, because Dustin's not here, and I know I'm not going to forget, and I hope he's watching because I'm throwing some jabs at him there. We're going to roll our very over-the-top stinger. All right. So I hope you guys are having a good evening. It is now October, our first show of October. We're 20 episodes in, and we've got a long way to go. We are excited for the 2024 primary. It seems like it's a long way away, but it's right around the corner. And so we're going to continue our effort reaching out to candidates, no matter who they are. You know, whether I agree with them or whether Dustin agrees with them, we'd really like to interview just anybody willing to come on. Sure, there could be some fireworks, but that's okay. Look, we can have good political discourse, and that's what politics should be. It can get ugly at times, but if we have some good political discourse, then that's what it's all about. So before we get into the McCarthy speaker fight, because this is a really important topic, and I think, I don't know, we may have some disagreements, and you guys can let me know in the chat whether or not we have some disagreements. Good evening, Sherry. Welcome to the feed. Watching over on Facebook. And it's okay to have some disagreements in politics, but I really think this speaker fight was one of the most important political fights perhaps ever. And so I want to get into that a little bit. But before we do, just a reminder, jump over onto Rumble and follow our channel if you're not already following our channel on Rumble. And then special request from myself. So for those that have been following me for a really long time, I shamelessly plug my kids' hiking channel. They got a hiking channel on YouTube called Pruitt Hiking Adventures. That's where you can go. You can follow them. They're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. They got 834 right now. And, if we get hundreds of views on this, that means hundreds of people that could go and help them get and reach their goal that they've been trying to get for years. And just because I shamelessly plug my kids, here I'm going to show you a quick 30-second preview hike that we did for Mount St. Helens. All right. So, by the way, if you've ever hiked Mount St. Helens, really beautiful. And at the end there, where my kid is sludging up through the top, I almost didn't make it because that was like beach sand, and you were taking 2 steps up and then sliding 1 step back down. It was pretty gnarly stuff. But yeah, I look, when you work in politics, and honestly, if you're just follower of politics, it can be draining. And so one of the ways that I have found most effective to get out and clear my head and just get some good exercise, but really clear my head, get away from a bunch of people. Although Mount St. Helens is probably not the best place if you're trying to get away from everybody. We go out and do these really fun hikes and really hard hikes. I'm much more of I don't want to hike like this. I want to hike like this. I like to feel like I'm accomplishing some objective, so I prefer to hike up. Anyway, okay, let's get into this Matt Gaetz, Representative Matt Gaetz out of Florida, uh, taking down Speaker McCarthy, along with 7 other Republicans who stood up and said, "You know what? You've broke all your promises, and we're gonna go and fight." So, is Gates's decision to vacate the speakership a good thing or a bad thing? And that's really a really wide debate within the Republican Party right now. And it's kind of fascinating to see where the people seem to be coalescing on this issue versus the media talking heads and the establishment rhinos that are just fuming right now. But you can't even just say, the average person may think somebody like Mark Levin or Sean Hannity is a hardcore conservative. And I used to think of Levin that way. But this has kind of really exposed something I think is important for a lot of people to understand about politics and how it works. So, um, here's so first of all, I think it's a good thing. In fact, I think it's a great thing that what Matt Gaetz has done. And I'll explain that here in a second. So, and I think Dustin in large part feels the same way I do, but he's not here, so yeah, whether he agrees with me or not, he's gonna have to wait until another day. But um, think about this. For the last how many decades, every candidate who runs for Congress, whether let's or for U.S. Senate, okay, U.S. Senate or the U.S. House of Representatives, both sides, they all tell you they're going to go to D.C. and I'm going to shake things up, and I'm going to go to D.C. and we're going to be accountable, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it never happens. Okay, it hasn't happened pretty much ever, and because here's the thing: when they get in there, they become part of it, right? There's this system there that is much like our state capital and any state capital for that matter. But you go there, there's a bunch of seasoned people who are in there, and you're a freshman, and you think you're going to go out and do all these wonderful, awesome things. You're going to hold these politicians accountable. And then you realize, oh, well, there's this massive machine that is working, and either I'm going to try and do what I promised to do and get ran over by the machine, or I'm just going to become a part of it. And of course, most of them just become a part of it because it's a lot easier that way. It's a lot easier to play the game in a way that they think um, will keep them in office for a really long time. Because at the end of the day, that's what like most of them actually care about. They don't want to disrupt the system, because if you disrupt the system comes after you, right? So those 8 Republicans who ended up voting to ouster McCarthy, they've got massive targets on their back. In fact, they're already talking about throwing Gates out of the caucus and trying to expel him from Congress. So because he used a process, by the way, that Kevin McCarthy agreed to. Okay, Kevin McCarthy just didn't think it was ever going to happen. That's why he agreed to it, and Matt Gaetz went ahead and did it. so and look, you know, I like Matt Gaetz a lot more than I like Kevin McCarthy. I don't know Matt Gaetz, okay, on a personal level. He's doing a lot of good work. He's leading the fight to go after the ATF on guns, and so I'm really excited about that, obviously. But look, I don't know any of these people on any personal level, and quite frankly, I've told people over and over and over again, Congress is broken. I don't think there's anybody that's going to go there and fix it. You'd have to get 300 Matt Gaetzes to go there to have any chance of really reforming that system. And then you got to take control of the other chamber too, by the way. So the system is what it is, and that's why nobody ever challenges it. It hasn't been challenged in a really long time, and it's kind of extremely frustrating to watch these guys not stand up and do the things that they said they were going to do. So, think about and here's the funny thing: there's never a good time to disrupt the system if you're in the system. Okay. So when Matt Gaetz decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to file this motion to vacate, I saw some of the pundits. I saw some of the even maybe more conservative lawmakers who were saying, well, now's just not the right time to do it. Okay. We've got to wait until X, Y, and Z is in place. And the thing is that's never going to be there's never going to be a time where these guys say, okay, now it's okay to do this. And if you're just tuning in, again, we're talking about the Matt Gaetz Speaker McCarthy controversy, or former Speaker since he's gone now. And then also, I am trying to help my kids who help with all my political stuff, who deal with all my political stuff, get to 1,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. So the link is down below there. So there's never a good time. Okay, and this reminds me of a lot of Idaho. And if you're from Idaho and you've been part of the constitutional carry fight, guess what? They're the first year that I tried to pass constitutional carry in 2013, they told me, the establishment, the machine, whatever, they told me you can't do it this year because, it's a lot better to do this kind of stuff in election year. And then we came back in the election year in 2014 and they were like, yeah, we really don't want to rock the boat. This just isn't a good time to do this. I was like, well, wait a minute here. You're elected every 2 years. The odd year you told me it wasn't good, and the even year you're telling me isn't good. You're basically telling me never to do it. Okay, and that's really what they're telling Matt Gaetz, because they're saying, well, we barely have the majority. We just can't do this when we barely have the majority. Okay, I can guarantee you that if they were controlling, just like they had under Trump, if they were controlling the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they would still say the same thing. Oh, we can't do this. If we do this, it'll look like the Republicans can't govern. So we can't make this kind of motion until, we really have like a massive supermajority in Congress. Then we can go ahead and do it. And then guess what? Even if the Republicans had a supermajority in Congress in both chambers, and the presidency was controlled by a Republican, and be like, well, now is not really the right time to do it. We really need to wait until there's even more conservatives. Okay, so there's always going to be an endless list of excuses on why this shouldn't happen. Okay, but again, Matt Gaetz followed the rules that Speaker McCarthy agreed to. And it's interesting, because of the smaller majority, the conservatives actually ended up with more power. Okay, because McCarthy had to agree to some terms with them in order to get their votes. And ultimately that ended up being his demise too, of course. But it was beneficial. Now here's the thing. I'm kind of shocked that the Democrats went along with this, because like even here in Idaho, we've had a number of, not necessarily gun bills, but other bills where the conservative lawmakers were trying to make a stand, and pretty much every time they do that, the Democrats join with the establishment GOP, because that's basically one big uniparty, right? They all vote in block on a lot of these issues. They almost always stand with the establishment GOP when there's these types of maneuvers being made. And so I was shocked, honestly, that the Democrats went along with this. Now, do they see a path for Hakeem Jeffries to possibly get the speakership? Maybe. And maybe that's why they did it. And that is part of the risk. Okay, there is risk involved in what Gaetz was doing. So the fact that the Democrats didn't vote for McCarthy was kind of shock number one. Shock number two is that McCarthy didn't immediately say, yeah, I'm running again, so deal with it. He dropped out. So now we're going to end up with either probably Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan. I think Byron Donaldson, or whatever his name is, he threw his name in the ring. So there's now 3 people contending to be speaker. So we are going to get a new speaker. Arguably, I don't know about Scalise, but the other 2 would definitely be a step up from McCarthy. And possibly even Scalise to some extent. It's hard to say. The guy used to be a lot more conservative. I think he's really fallen off in the last 5 years, because look, he ended up with leadership. You typically don't get a leadership role without selling yourself out. One of the big issues that I think is going to be a major point moving forward here is the Ukraine war, which Dustin and I are both opposed to. Okay. I don't like Putin. I don't like Zelensky. I think they're all corrupt. So, and we've got to stop funding other people's wars. Our border is a freaking disaster right now. Absolute disaster. That's where all of this money should be going, is securing our border, not, trying to help Ukraine fight a winless war. They can't beat Russia. I hope everybody understands that. Like, the Ukraine war is lost. And had we not funneled a bunch of weapons to them and money, it would have been over a long time ago. Russia has the ability to honestly to wipe those guys out if they really wanted to. Their army is much bigger, it's much better. They've got a lot more equipment. They've just kind of been toying with the Ukrainians. And so I'm not going to get too deep into the whole war thing right now, but that's, I don't want the money going there. So that fight, and it'll be interesting because I haven't seen yet, and I haven't looked today too much to see if Steve Scalise has made any announcement on the Ukraine war and whether or not he supports going forward. But Jim Jordan has already come out and said, I don't support funding it. My assumption is that Byron Donaldson also does not support funding the Ukraine war. And that's going to be a major, major point on the speakership fight. The other thing you have to remember is with the speaker, and this is something I think McCarthy did fairly well at, is you got to go around the country and fundraise, right? You got to go push candidates all over the place. And, I would almost worry a little bit about Steve Scalise being able to do that, given what he's gone through recently. That's a very taxing job of being the speaker. I don't know why anyone would want the job. Second to president, it's got to be like the worst job in politics. And maybe honestly, might even be easier being president to some extent because you're really just kind of you either do what you want through executive order or you wait until Congress gives you something. Other than that, you're just kind of running around and making big decisions. Don't get me wrong, but you don't, to some extent, you don't have to deal with all the personalities on a daily basis like you do as a speaker. So, I don't know. I don't know who comes out on top of this, but Jim Jordan, I think, would be a much better fit to go. I mean, he's a little bit more passionate. I haven't really been impressed with what he's done since he became chairman of what was that stupid committee? That's what I was trying to remember. I don't remember the committee that they call it, but anyway, he's supposed to stop a lot of this government overreach and the investigations and all that crap. He hasn't really done anything, honestly, other than send out some strongly worded letters and crap. So a little disappointed there, but he's fiery. He would have the energy to go around, get people fired up, and do good fundraising, I think. You never know until they do the job. So if I had a choice out of those three, actually, I'd probably pick Donaldson, although I don't know. I haven't watched Donaldson long enough to know how he would do on fundraising and on all that kind of stuff, but I do like him as well. So I think those two. Now, people have attacked Matt Gaetz because they said, well, you tossed him and there's no plan. There's no plan. Well, my assumption is he had a plan. Okay. He probably didn't release it because here's the thing. People are so angry at him that if he immediately came out and said, I want Andy Biggs to be Speaker of the House, they're definitely not going to do that. In fact, I almost think Gaetz has made a mistake in saying, I want Jim Jordan. Let's do Jim Jordan. Okay. And that's kind of who the more conservative wing, the actual conservative wing of the Republican Party in the House, seems to be coalescing around Jim Jordan. And I think even Boebert was saying, well, if you do Jim Jordan, we can just get rid of the motion to vacate. We'll be fine with that. So I don't know though. Steve Scalise is very popular. Jordan's very popular. So it'll be a really interesting fight. But I really think that Ukraine war funding is going to become a really big sticking point. If Steve Scalise comes out and says, no, we got to keep funding the Ukrainian war, the American people are not behind you. Sorry. And I think that could potentially help Jim Jordan in the end, but we'll see. The Idaho delegation, by the way, Simpson and Fulcher both voted for McCarthy. And again, even you look at somebody like Thomas Massey or Chip Roy or some of these others that voted for McCarthy. Oops, sorry. I'm shaking my camera there. They were mad. They were mad at Gaetz. Oh, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? And this is not the right time. And McCarthy's the best speaker that we've had in a long time. Okay, well, John Boehner and Paul Ryan, they set the bar almost as low as you could possibly go. Okay, so, if the bar is here with those two and McCarthy's here when he should be here, this isn't much of an improvement. Okay, it was business as usual. Okay, there was backroom deals. He let Nancy Pelosi stay in the office, allegedly on a deal that if there was a motion to vacate, that the Democrats would save him, which is why she got tossed once McCarthy did, which was kind of funny. That alone is worth it, by the way. Pelosi getting booted out of her nice little office suite there. I think it's pretty funny. So yeah, our Idaho delegation voted against, and now here's the people that are really annoying. The people that are really annoying are people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, who are like, "Oh yeah, now we can get a real speaker in there." And so they were kissing McCarthy's rear end before the vote took place, right? And then they voted for McCarthy, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert are running around like, "Oh yeah, now we can get a new speaker, or even more conservative one." And I'm like, what kind of principled person are you that you voted for that guy and didn't do the thing that you really wanted to do, and instead you cowered behind the donations that he had given them? By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene is on some rampage about we got to get President Trump to be speaker. Okay, Trump will never be the speaker. Would it be entertaining? Yes, it would be. It would be one of the most entertaining speakerships you'd ever seen. However, there is no votes. Okay, there is at least half of the Republican conference that would not vote for him. They wouldn't do it. Or at least enough. Like if there was a serious vote, if Trump is like, all right, I'm all in, I want to be the speaker. Okay. Half of them definitely wouldn't want to, but they only need a handful, right? They only need a handful, less than 10 to not, because none of the Democrats are going to vote for Trump, but they'd also have at least 10 Republicans who were in swing districts that would never vote for Trump. So that's not going to happen. And Trump, quite frankly, if you're running for president, being speaker, a giant waste of your time. Like he's much better off running around the country fundraising and doing rallies and stuff like that. So I can't see Trump even remotely trying to do that. By the way, if you're not on Rumble, be sure to follow us over on Rumble for the I did not go there. There we go. That won't let me. Oh well. Go check out the Freedom Bros podcast on Rumble and follow us over there. So one more thing on this before I do it, if I remember. Oh yeah, so yeah, Trump is out. Trump's not going to do it, and he would be stupid to do it in the first place. So we'll see how the fight goes. It's a really important fight, and I hope that. Look, you guys have to understand this. This is unprecedented, right? This has never happened before. Kicking a speaker out of the chair by his own party. And I know people are, if you've worked inside this game for long enough, this is the type of thing you love to see. And I'm not even saying it's peachy and rosy and everything else, but look how angry the Republicans are. This is what you should be angry about. Okay, when what's his name slammed the gavel down. I should have grabbed that video. If you haven't seen the guy slamming the gavel down, I mean, I could have swore he would have broke it in half as hard as he hit it. Right? And you see Republicans are out there they are just furious. They're angry. They're just lashing out at Gates. Okay, and that's fine if you want to be angry. Where is that passion about the border? Where's that passion about Biden? Where's that passion about stopping this freaking Ukraine war funding? Where's that passion about the economy? These Republicans have more passion right now because of what Gates did versus the issues that actually matter. And that to me is what's frustrating. That just shows you they don't care. They seriously don't care. Yeah, they're going to go shoot some commercials. They're going to send you their email newsletter. But Joe Biden, blah. They don't believe it. They just don't care. Okay. They really don't. I'm not saying that they wouldn't rather be in control. It's about power. Okay. But for the most part, these guys vote the same way on almost everything. And so, that's why I loved what Gates did, because it disrupted the good old boys system for both sides. Everybody's kind of like, oh crap, that can happen. Like, wait, accountability? Well, that's a thing here in DC. We don't know what accountability means. Stop that. Don't do that. So there has to come a time where something changes. right? And this, to be honest with you, what happened with Matt Gaetz in Washington, D.C., could have a massive ripple effect all across the United States in state capitals where Republicans are like, oh, wait, like we can actually stand up to our leadership. Like that's okay to do. We thought you just had to fall in line and do what you were told. So there was a lot of other potential benefit to what Matt Gaetz did versus just being angry because he disrupted it right before Christmas time or because it's okay. Okay. There is chaos all over this country. Losing Kevin McCarthy and probably getting a new speaker in a week, not chaos, people. That's okay. Don't let freaking Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and the rest of these losers convince you that, oh, all hell's going to break loose now and it's total chaos and all this other crap. Okay. This is the type of stuff that is good. Now, people ask me, well, why can't the Republicans just all stick together? People like, what the heck is her name? Tommy Lauren or Tommy Lauren or however you pronounce her name. The blonde gal that's on Fox News that has accomplished exactly zero in her life other than being on TV. Okay, congratulations. She's out there. This is why Democrats win because they stick together. Yeah, Democrats stick together. Guess what? They have no morals. They have no values. They have nothing that they stand for. They do what they're told because they want power. Okay. The Republican Party is always split, always has been, because there's people who have values. Okay. And you have to understand the Republican Party is split because there's real Republicans and then there's fake ones. The fake ones are Democrats. So why would they continue to help the rhinos keep power? Like that doesn't make any sense. So that's why the Republican Party will always have that, because there are people with values. Okay. Maybe not a lot of them in there, but there are people with values who are like, hey, you know what? Sure. On 80% of the issues, we're going to be together. Right. But then there's this X percentage of issues, 20% or whatever, that look, we're going to stand for our principles. We're not going along just to get along. That's what the establishment wants here in Idaho. And that's what the establishment wants in Washington, D.C. We just want to go along to get along. We don't care. Just do whatever. As long as we keep power. That's what they all care about in the end. Most elected officials, from city council to county to state elected officials, U.S. officials, all of them, they all care about power and they care about reelection. They care about money. They care about PACs. They care about all that crap. Okay. So that's ultimately what they're fighting for. It's not to do the right thing. It's not to represent you. It's not to do any of that stuff. And so anytime you can disrupt that system and cause them to go, oh, wait a minute here. You're not allowed to do that. That's not how we do business around here, is fantastic news to me. So before we get into the second topic, which is the GOP debate, first of all, let us know in the comments, what did you guys think about Matt Gaetz's move? Did you like it, not like it? Or are you still kind of like, I don't know what the heck happened. I'm not really sure. So let us know in the comments what you guys think. Before I get into the second topic, I'm going to show you another 30-second video of my kids and their awesome hiking channel. Again, they're trying to hit 1,000. Help them out. They deal with all my politics so that they can, so that we can continue to do this. And so this is my way to give back to them for all the support that they show you guys and for me and all this stuff. So this is a hike we did called Hyndman Peak. It's 12,009 feet, the hardest hike by far that we've ever done. So I'm gonna do that and take a quick break. So we actually had so it took us like 14 hours, right? It was an insane hike. You couldn't really get lost. Like the trail was really defined, but it was tough. And my kids ended up getting altitude sickness right at the top of Hyndman Peak. And throwing up on the way down. It was a total nightmare. They love it now. Looking back, they're like, that was, a really cool experience. But because we got so slow going back down the mountain, um, or my phone died. The friend I was with, her phone died, and my kids didn't have any phones. We didn't have backup chargers, and we weren't lost at all. But we ended up hiking the rest part of the way out in the dark, like the last 3 miles on this trail. It was totally nuts. The sheriff, as soon as we got to our van, the sheriff was right there waiting. He's like, "Everybody's looking for you." We were like, "Yeah, we're fine." So we're good to go. So we prep a little bit better, but that was by far the hardest hiking we'd ever done. And if you go back in that video and you see that, like, there's like a 2,000 foot drop. I had a selfie camera, and I was laying on the ground, and I couldn't even tell what I was filming, but I like laid on the ground, 3 feet away, and just kind of held my arm out with the selfie stick and did that. And I mean, the whole rock shelf broke off. I was totally screwed, but it was a lot of fun. It was a pretty gnarly hike. Um, so somebody has a gun question. I'll get to that in the second or the last segment here in just a few minutes. Sherry says, haven't made my mind up at this point. But anytime we are fighting the good old boys club that both sides have been so out of bounds with the Constitution is a good thing. I'm kind of editing here, but do they have the ethics and morals of a true constitutional representative would be my question. And that's a good question. That's what we should always ask about every single one of them. I don't know. You know, I hope that Matt Gaetz is a good, honest person and he's doing this for the right reasons. McCarthy's saying it's because of an ethics investigation, all this other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. We do our best to try. What I can tell you is that having seen so many people go into the Idaho Capitol building, good people, it's a dangerous place. Money, power, prestige, sex, drugs. Like there's a lot of temptation. And I think that, I'm a God-fearing person. And so I think Satan really uses all of that to go, hey, how about this? And how about that? And then all of a sudden, bad stuff starts happening. And then you take Washington, D.C. with that environment. And by the way, most of them are hundreds or thousands of miles away from their home. So there's no accountability, so to speak. I've even told people who live here in Idaho, younger people that have families at home, like myself, it's really, really risky to go to the Idaho Capitol if you live away from the Capitol. Like if you live in Nampa or Meridian or Caldwell or Eagle or somewhere like that, then sure, because it's kind of just a normal job to some extent at that point. There's still a lot of temptation, but for all the other people that have to travel, it's there's a lot more risk, I think, when it comes to that. So you elect good people and you hope that they stay true to the course. That's honestly part of the reason why I'm not a big fan of term limits, but I think you should term limit yourself to maybe 4 terms in the House, since it's only 2-year terms or something like that, and not make a career out of it. I think the longer you're in there, the more corrupt you become, and the less you care about the values that you originally ran on. So, okay, second topic, GOP debate. The second GOP debate. So the first one was a total disaster. There's too many people. Okay, bottom line. First debate, too many people. Second debate, too many people. The second debate was nearly unwatchable. I probably got, I'm trying to remember, I don't know, 20 minutes in, and I stopped it and I left for a little bit. So I wasn't watching it live. I think I was at my kid's soccer game or something, and so I ended up watching it the next morning. It was just nonstop bickering and arguing over each other. And for the life of me, I don't understand why we continue to debates this way. Nobody learns anything. Sure, it's fun if you get somebody that gets a good one-liner or something, or if it's a first-time candidate you've never seen and they totally suck on stage. You're like, okay, maybe that person's not really made for this. But that's just awful because there's too many people. That's a large part of the problem. If there's 3 people, okay, they don't have to fight for the time. Maybe even 4 people. You may be able to get to 4 and not have so much talking over. but they're all fighting. And I guarantee all their handlers were like, hey, just start arguing, just start talking over each other. Nobody cares, just do it. And I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, oh my goodness, what are these people doing? Most of the questions are stupid. Why is Univision, why is the GOP allowing Univision to have any part of their debate? Okay. Univision is not friendly to conservatives at all. In fact, I've said for years now, the GOP here in Idaho and the GOP nationally should stop letting left-wing journalists run their debates. Okay. Stop it. Don't let them ask questions. Like, it is not worth it. Now, what are you going to do? Like, you could have journalists from Newsmax or Newsmax person. I mean, get freaking Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson on there asking questions. That would be fun, right? That would be entertaining. You know how many people would tune in to watch Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson ask the GOP candidates questions? I mean, even if those pundits have, I don't know, biases in there. That's what I mean. All the liberals, every freaking person that they get on these network debates, they're all biased. They're all a bunch of flaming liberals. So get Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, or Ben Shapiro, or I don't know, get some of these people and have them do it. Okay. And then cut down on the amount of people. Now, I want everybody to have a chance to debate. I think that should be fair. I even had this idea of, rather than having 8 candidates on the stage, you have 2 debates. Okay, in the first debate, on the first night, or maybe even earlier in the evening, you have 4 candidates who are the lower tiered candidates who are polling the lowest, right? And then the upper tier candidates who are polling the highest, they get to go in the more primetime debate. However, in European soccer, they have something called promotion and relegation between the divisions. And so if you're the lower teams at the end of the season, you get relegated down to a lower division. And if you're the upper part of the lower division, you get promoted. And so they do that every single year. so there's a fight to make sure that you don't get relegated down to a lower tier or promoted. I still don't know how we would determine who won, but all of a sudden, Tim Scott does really, really bad in a debate, and he gets relegated. The next debate, he gets relegated to the lower tier, and do that. That seems like it'd be a lot more entertaining. But honestly, I really think that the debates are just kind of a waste of time. I think we'd be better off with 2 or 3 candidates having more of a sit-down forum than these stupid debates. So, and you could argue that Trump has won all of them because it's just been a total disaster. And now he has no reason to go to any of them because his polling continues to be high. I do wonder how it will go. And if you guys don't know, I think Trump is going to win the primary. I don't think it will be close. And then when it comes to debating Biden, is there even going to be debates? Trump will want to debate Biden because Biden's a bumbling idiot. But if I was Biden, I'd just use Trump's excuses for not debating, and be like, hey, or Brad Little, hey, let's throw Trump out of it for a minute. What about Brad Little's excuses? I already beat Janice McCain. I don't need to debate. Everybody knows where I stand. I mean, that's what I'd do if I was Biden. Honestly, that's probably what his handlers will do if he makes it to the primary and wins. If he's still alive, or if they don't force him, or some scandal doesn't take him down, or whatever, I would say, look, I don't need to debate Trump. I already beat him. What's the point? So that would be my thing. But I really think that they should get, like, again, Joe Rogan or somebody that's not a freaking left-wing total lunatic liberal media hack to do these forums or debates. It's a giant waste of time. So I don't know. Nothing really stood out. Chris Christie might have stood out for one of the stupidest name calling one-liners in the world. Or, we're going to call you Donald Duck. Oh my gosh, how stupid can you be? That is the dumbest one of the dumbest one-liners I think I've ever heard. And then at the end, they're trying to get it. Who would you vote off the stage right now? Like it's what is that show? Survivor. Really? Like, that's the kind of dumb stuff that we're doing now. Like, I don't know. like I watch it just to see if there's anything interesting, but the whole talking over each other and all that stuff, just stupid. And I can't for the life of me understand why the GOP has not fixed this already. All right, last one. Last one. This will be a lot shorter. Guns. We have a rally. We have a rally coming up on October 14th, which is just a week away, a week and a few days away at the Capitol in Boise. We hope to see a bunch of gun owners there. So I'm asking everybody, please share this video. We need you to share this video because we want to see as many gun owners at that rally as possible. And I hope that you guys will all be there. Now, let me run back up to Jason Fisher because I know he had a gun comment. Let's see, at Freedom Bros Podcast. Hey, Greg, been watching your channel for a couple of years. Do you think there are any chance the courts will overturn Washington's semi-auto ban, or is the courts totally lost? The U.S. Supreme Court for the longest time has been really frustrating when it came to guns because they just wouldn't take cases up, right? We had a big win in 2008 and 2010. They just kind of sat there. And I don't know, maybe to some extent that was good because without the right justices on there, it could be pretty bad. And when it was 5-4, and Roberts is too risky. The dude is just a flaming liberal since Obamacare. So we were probably better off not having cases get up there. And so now I think we have to take the chance, right? I don't foresee anytime soon that we're going to get conservative justices on there. And we may end up even losing some of the good ones and they may get replaced by Democrats or some rhino judges or whatever. I think now is the best time. And I think a semi-auto ban would have a good chance if there's not a mass shooting like right when they're trying to make the decision. I don't know that would sway them, but it possibly could. So how a semi-auto ban would be upheld, I can't even. I have no idea. Like it shouldn't be, right? So I hope there's a large hope that a semi-auto ban, mag bans, all that kind of stuff will hopefully make it up to the courts. I think there's a really good chance that we at least win that 5-4. Maybe Roberts pulls his head out of his rear end and does something good for once. But I can see Roberts totally caving. So then I don't know about Amy, Barrett. I just don't know. Or Kavanaugh. Like, I have no idea. There was never really any big major gun cases from those two that we can look at and go, okay, they're probably in the right place here. So but I think you have to roll the dice at this point. I think even if it loses, the states that have passed the bans have pretty much done it, and the states that haven't done it are probably never going to do it anytime soon. So I think that's probably going to have to be the case. Is it going to ever get through Congress again? It might. It possibly could. I can see the Democrats maybe trying to shove it through next time. So let's see. They completely banned all automatic rifles here in Washington. Even California, legal ARs are banned, and most gun shops won't even sell mini 14s or grands. Yeah, it's bad, man. Like they use the ballot initiative process in those states, especially in Washington, because I followed Washington gun politics for a long time, and they've just used the ballot initiative process to destroy those states, the whole left coast, as I always call it. And so, if there's ever a time we're going to win, the U.S. Supreme Court, it's right now. And so I honestly don't know which case. I think there's one back east somewhere that's an AR ban or assault weapons ban or whatever that's making its way through the court system, and a number of other gun cases. So hopefully we get some good news here in the next few years. Yeah, I'm excited. This has been. We love doing this podcast. I hope this is worth it for you guys. Dustin and I are just doing this, having a lot of fun, and hoping to have some really awesome guests coming on here in the near future. And we're going to continue to grow. Again, jump on our Rumble channel if you're not on our Rumble channel. We'd love to have you guys over there. We're working towards 100 followers on our Rumble channel, and I think we're at 74 or something like that, so we're getting really close. But that means that we need you guys to keep sharing. So with that, let me roll one more. I'm gonna do one more of my kids' videos. You know what? This is probably the last time I'll do it on here for a long time. So, one more hiking video, and then I'll say a few more words, and then we'll do our stinger, and we'll be done. All right, so I got one more thing here. Yeah, Jason said, I think the Illinois challenge in the Seventh Circuit will be successful. They banned all semi-autos and are pushing registration with potential confiscation. Even worse than California. Oh my gosh, like I can't. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully you're right, brother. I think we need some good challenges in the courts right now. It's probably the best time we're ever going to have, or best opportunity we're ever going to have to do it. So, anyway, I appreciate it, guys. Once again, please be sure to share this video. Preferably, give me a little while, maybe tomorrow sometime. I'll have it up on Rumble and share the Rumble. We're actually going to be getting the Freedom Bros. We have freedombrospodcast.com, and it goes to a different landing page. We're actually going to have its own site where we can put the Rumble videos embedded inside of an article. It's just a lot easier to share that way. So that's kind of the plan right now, is so that you guys can. It's a lot more shareable for you. So, again, please subscribe to my Kids is Hiking channel. Help them get to 1,000 subs. Support the outdoors, right? This is Idaho. We love the outdoors. And anytime we can encourage kids and others to get outside and go outdoors. That's fantastic. So please do that. And I really, really appreciate it. And so would they. Take care. Have a night. God bless.